You're listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Become ceremonious. Well, hey there. Welcome back. Become ceremonious. That's my advice today. Doesn't that sound cool? You've heard people say, become ungovernable, become this, become that, right? You probably never have heard anyone say, become ceremonious. Until now. So what do I mean by that? And why would you want to become ceremonious? I talk about layers and filters and programs and voices all the time. Being a human is complicated and complex. I recently made my Do It to a Fault seminar available online for people. Because I know we don't just say, get up, do a thing, do another thing, go to work, do a thing, come back, do something fun, do something else, eat. There's a lot more involved in that. And it's affected by who we're with, our mood, and the ceremony. So look, we tend to create ceremonies for the most important things in our life. There, I just gave you the whole podcast right there. But let me expand on that. Weddings, funerals, graduations, parties, etc. We take something and we make a big deal out of it, right? But more than just making a big deal out of something, we are sort of conforming it to a certain series of movements and events. And of course, a much better word for that is ceremony. And why do we do this? Well, as I said at the very beginning and ruined the whole thing for you, it's because it's important. And even when we don't know what's going to happen, we sort of draw a line or a circle around it or put it up on a pedestal and we make it important. And it has more impact on us, doesn't it? People who can afford it and people who can't will have a rather large wedding because they want to drive home the point of how important it is to someone. I mean, if you're truly in love with someone and you say, hey, I'm only 25, but I've decided that I'm going to spend the next 50 or 70 years with someone for the rest of my life. You all need to know about it in no uncertain terms. I'm not just going to say, hey, we're together. We need to have a big giant ceremony. The same thing is true for the opposite. Depends on your perspective. If there's a funeral and that it's the same thing. How important was this person's life? How many people showed up? We would go through a number of situations and ceremonies to make that important. And it's the same kind of ceremony for the same kind of occurrence, right? Most weddings are similar in that you know that there's going to be a ceremony, pictures being taken, some kind of gap, you go home or what have you, and then the reception. And then for them, it's the honeymoon, opening of presents, all that stuff, right? It basically follows a schedule. It basically follows some ceremony. So how does this apply to you? And why do I say become ceremonious? I say that because I'm asking you to use the same sort of mindset, the same sort of importance to things in your life. So you're saying, well, when I empty the dishwasher, there's supposed to be some big ceremony? Not exactly. But for things in your life that are important to you or should be important to you, if you become ceremonious around and about them, it could make really impactful changes in your life. Let me give it an example. For me, one day I just decided that Sunday night was tea ceremony night, right? Basically what I would do at a certain time, and for a while, depending on the clock and setting it forward and back and all that other nonsense, at sundown, I would have tea. I would turn all the electronics off. There was no way to reach me, turn everything off. And then I would listen to some inspirational meditation music and have tea and just clear my mind. It was sort of like meditation, but I could do more of what I wanted. I could let my mind wander about things. I could think about the previous week and I could think about the week coming up. And in fact, that was one of my very first podcasts, was about the cheating on a Sunday of look backwards to look forwards, how you could use the previous week to help determine what kind of week you're going to have the next week. You could say, that stuff was bad. I don't want to do that stuff. That stuff was good. I want to do more of that stuff, simplistically, but you understand what I'm saying. I have this really neat glass pot that also has candles underneath it and all that stuff. It's really pretty. I think at any second I'm going to pour the hot water into it and the thing's just going to shatter, right? I think that at every second. But I started putting my tea ceremonies online on my Instagram account because they were just really pretty. And, the different teas had different colors and I'd light candles and all that good stuff. I even created a routine with Alexa that basically said, hey, it's tea ceremony time. And she would dim the lights and all that stuff. Funny that I created a routine. Does that sound familiar? Because what is a routine? It's a ceremony, right? Well, no, a routine is like I work out at 3:00 on a Friday. Well, it's kind of a baby ceremony then, isn't it? What else can you do about that? If you go and do something like working out on a certain time or a certain day, right? Well, I bet you probably shower afterwards too. Well, what if you combine something else with that? What if you said, okay, because I work out on Friday at X time, I get off of work a little bit earlier. And if you work for yourself, then you say, I stop work at this time because then I'm just going to get in the proper mindset to go work out. And I want to make sure that I don't schedule any meetings that go over and then I'm missing my time and I'm getting all hyper inside. And again, when you're done, then you come home, you take a shower. Perhaps if you're a lady, you do some other things. Maybe you go get your nails done or your hair done or your hair all did up, whatever. If you put on some more things, if you connect other things that are sort of adjacent to that feeling of self-care and self-love, of taking care of yourself, of improving yourself, you've kind of created a ceremony, haven't you? And if you say, I always listen to this song on my way to the gym and this song on the way back, you're even enhancing the ceremony more. And as I said, a ceremony tells your brain it's important. And when you tell it that, it raises the status in your brain above the little niggling things that bother you about, oh yeah, that's right, did you pay your water bill, da-da-da-da-da. That's fine. We're not going to think about that stuff while we're attending a wedding. Just like we're not going to think about that while we're in the workout and improvement ceremony. Just like in my tea ceremony, it's not a long time. I set a minimum amount of time I do that for because, my mind is wandering and that's what it wants to do. So I say, nope, we are here, present in the moment. We're enjoying this delightful tea and these candles and this music right now, period. So you create time and emotional borders around that thing. Here's something you can do after the podcast, or you can pause it after I tell you this. I bet if you take stock in some of the things in your life, the things that are slipping, the things that you're not doing that you really want to do, I will bet you that those things don't have any ceremony connected to them. If you say, well, I really want to work out at least like twice a week. Well, when do you do it? I don't know, when I have time. Oh, okay. But if you work out in the way that I just described, I'll bet it gets done. And again, ceremony applies to so many things, including seeing your friends. If you see your girlfriends every so often, well, if you say we're going to see each other once a month and we're going to go to this restaurant and we're going to have these drinks because that's what we do, or we're going to text memes to each other first or whatever, I'll bet you get to see them on a regular basis versus, oh yeah, now it's been 7 months because we never went back again and did that. So how can you add more ceremony to the things in your life? Well, think about some of the things I've told you here. Think about what makes you feel good, what makes that thing seem important. What is the ideal way that you would do it? How would it be done if the Prince of the Moon was doing that? Oh my God, we wouldn't just, have him sit at the table. This would happen. We would do this and this and this, right? And then work backwards back to reality. That can kind of help too. So along those lines, I mentioned in the beginning the Do It to a Fault seminar. Some of the stuff we're talking about here kind of infringes on that. It kind of bleeds over into that, because the whole do it to a fault is basically connecting something that you want to do or you don't want to do to a feeling, an activity, something universal, a location, or time. That's what fault stands for. How do you like that? Pretty cool. So if you get that concept, you can get the concept of a ceremony. If you get the concept of a ceremony, you can get that concept. Now, typically ceremonies are set up for positive things that you want to do, and do it to a fault is applicable to both stuff you really want to do, like long-term, like writing a book, or, making sure you see your friend, or, things like that. But it's also applicable to negative things like, doing housework, or as is mentioned in the beginning here, dishwasher and things like that. So what I would urge you to do is, there'll be a link in the article that comes along with this. You can go to the Do It to a Fault seminar I've put online and check it out if you'd like. And you'll be very surprised at the price, at least for now. So thank you very much for listening. As always, if you like this, I do appreciate a like and a subscribe and a recommend to your friends. If you didn't like it, I really appreciate that you made it this far anyway. And I thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Hey there, thanks for listening. I always appreciate your feedback. Please keep it coming. 3 Voices is out. It's a fun read and only $9.99 US on Amazon. And as of this recording, it reached number 3 in experimental psychology. So thank you so much.